Welcome to Wealthy Mind, where we talk about all things finances, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the surprising. Hello and welcome to Wealthy Mind. I am Misty Rose Gold, International Success Coach, and here at Wealthy Mind, we love to help you create and maintain a wealthy mind. Today, I have with me Joel. Hi, Joel.
Hi, good afternoon. How you doing?
I am great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here and to share with everybody and yourself and go back and forth and hopefully a couple of people listen in will, pick up a nugget or two and we've created some value for people and that'll be great.
I would love that too. Let's do that. So, Joel, would you please share your full name with the audience and what do you do?
So my name is Joel Kraut and our company is called Brrrr.com. So B with four R's for a lot of real estate investors across the country. It stands for buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat. Sort of an acronym that's grown up in the space. We own Burr.com. We are a lender across the country. We lend to all types of investment properties, but only to investment properties. We're not doing anybody's home primary residence. We don't make those types of loans. And we keep it simple. We lend without tax returns, no personal income verification. Again, user friendly. Often, many people are self-employed. Tax returns pose a problem and a challenge for them in the banking world. And sometimes they don't like their Irish uncle, Uncle Sam, so they don't report it all. But for us, we're not looking at any of it. We're keeping it simple for them,
Mm.
and we're an outlet for them.
I appreciate the name of your business, Burr. Um, it's appropriate for where you live.
Yeah, it's definitely not nice out here the last couple of weeks. And, yesterday and today, we got a quick dump at 24 inches of snow. So,
Mm,
yeah, it's definitely been burr. It's,
right? So, for our listeners, where in the world are you?
We're in New Jersey, and then every time I get a chance, I try to sneak out to Florida. But our main offices are here in Monmouth County by the Jersey Shore in Freehold, New Jersey.
Very nice. I'm sure the weather is beautiful at some point.
Yes, most of the year is nice here,
Yeah,
but
that's
for
very nice.
10 weeks, it's winter.
It's supposed to be winter in Colorado, but it just hasn't happened yet. So,
You guys have that boom and bust kind of weather pattern, right? Some days it could be 70, the next day it could snow.
hmm
The times I've been there, the area is beautiful
hmm
from the little bit of time I've gotten to spend there. But again, you could be watching a football game on television, there's a snowstorm, and you talk to somebody else who lives in another part of the state, they tell you
hmm
you're nuts, it's 68 degrees outside and I'm out hiking.
hmm
That's it's nice, but hard to adjust to.
Yeah, there's usually a little more weather in the winter than what we've been having. So it's a bit like we're not experiencing any winter this year, which is kind of weird, but we'll get there. It is what it is. So
Yeah.
um let's go ahead and dive into our topic because we could talk about the ins and outs of business all day long, but what makes us really successful in business is something that you and I really need to talk about today. And there's something specific that you like to touch on. Can you share with the audience what that is?
I can definitely speak to it from my past business experiences across a couple different businesses, but also with real estate investors in particular. Everybody wants to be creative, but at the same time, I think one of the greatest challenges they face is just listening.
Mm,
I'm talking with you today. I ask a question. It's very common for people to get a little nervous when there's that moment of silence in between for the response.
mhm,
And the person who asked the question will often keep talking to fill that dead space, never giving the other side a chance to even respond to tell you what they were really thinking. And I know for us in the real estate investment world, that is usually a killer. That moment is a defining moment in the whole process. If I'm working with the seller and asking them to participate from the sell side in any way financially, I need to ask my questions, really listen and understand what the seller is telling me so that I can see if it's appropriate, what might work, how to suggest. And I feel like that's a huge challenge out there. We have so many people call into us and they'll ask us questions. And before we can even answer, they're answering them themselves. Whether they're right or wrong, the answer doesn't even matter. It's just if I'm calling you up and I'm asking you and we're having a conversation, I have to give you the opportunity to express your own thoughts. I can't really understand what you're thinking unless I give you a chance to tell me. And I feel like a lot of people, not just real estate investors, but in almost every aspect of business that I've been involved in, I find that that's a challenge for people.
Hmm. I think it's a challenge business wide, not just in your world, but I see it like I personally interact with 1 to 200 business owners a month. And the notion of listening as part of their success plan usually doesn't come into play.
I think it's very difficult. To your point, I mean, most people have never been trained to do that. Might have been talked about once or twice quick and, sort of glossed over, and it gets lost. And too many people miss out on too much information that could really help them, get them focused, or enable them to focus in the right directions instead of spending all this time and energy to then come to you, Misty, and deliver the wrong product, to deliver the wrong idea, to deliver the wrong program. That's a killer. Right now, I've lost all credibility because clearly I didn't listen. I didn't understand your needs, and I went about it in my manner or where I thought was right. And you had no interest in that at all. And I've wasted your time and
Mm,
possibly some money. Forget about my own time and money. So
hmm
it's a killer in a lot of businesses. And unfortunately, as I travel around, and I'm sure you do too, you talk to a lot of business owners, no one is really helping them with that unless they take the time, effort, and money to invest in really good business coaching like you offer and your
hmm
offers to begin to understand those parts and pieces and how valuable they really are versus just talking about it. Yeah, I know I got to do better, man. And I know it's really important and all those types of conversations that go nowhere
hmm
versus being in role play scenarios at a higher level so you can see the outcomes and the value that that creates. And now you are conscious and you go implement. And it could change the whole trajectory for your business. With your existing clientele, the ability to expand your clientele, and maybe even bigger key for many of us, that opportunity for a future exit as you continually work through the process correctly.
mm. Yeah, listening is key. It's one of my superpowers. That's how I've gotten this far in life and in business is just listening and being willing to ask questions as well. So I know a lot of business owners struggle with that part of it too. It's like, let's leave something open-ended and hopefully they'll do what I want them to do without me setting those proper expectations. And I'm like, that can come across very manipulative, even if you're not trying to be manipulative. But if you don't have a clear ask of the person that's in front of you, it can come across as manipulative, and we don't want that, especially if you're in the financial industries. And a lot of my private clients are in the financial industries. I didn't plan that, it just happens. But I'm like, okay, so you are dealing with the greatest source of stress that people have, which is their money. You need to be very clear and direct in your communication with these people. If you expect your business to open up even more than what it has, if you want the rest of their family members to utilize your management services, you have to have clear and deliberate ask. but also on a very personal level because you're dealing with their money. So it's just a scenario that's coming to mind that I'm working with one of my guys and making sure that we're getting that clear communication out there so that he has a chance to listen. But if you just kind of like drop something and leave it and it's very vague, there's no chance for that.
I agree with you. I think leaving things vague is a horrible strategy. It's
Mm.
not a strategy. You're hoping somebody else fills in the blanks.
Hmm.
I believe you're best served. Call the person, talk to them directly, be honest and straightforward. They don't want to waste time. You're interrupting their day, which is fine, but interrupt it with a purpose. Tell them what the
Hmm.
ask is. Don't hope they figure it out. Don't try to kind of get them there, roundabout. Be direct and be straightforward and be honest. Even if you interrupted their day, they'll still appreciate that. If it doesn't work that second, maybe you get to a quick yes. Maybe you get to a quick no. Maybe you get to a maybe, but here's the reasons why. Now you have something you can work from and then reschedule a time that fits to go over those maybes and possibly convert them, right? But again, if you're leaving it vague and leaving it open, how do you expect another serious professional to react to you? They're not going to view you as a person with confidence. They're not going to see you at a high level of competency. And isn't
Hmm.
that really what we want to interact with? Isn't that what we're looking for? So that presentation of yourself is crucial. I know it's uncomfortable, like you said.
Hmm.
It is uncomfortable to do that. But the
It
sooner
is.
you get through that, the faster you will get to more high frequency closes, better results, more meaningful relationships. And that's really where the magic happens, is developing the more meaningful relationships. Because
Hmm.
now every time Misty refers me to somebody else, well, people respect her at a high level, and she wouldn't have taken the risk to refer me unless I was a person of that caliber. Now
Hmm.
I'm going into that meeting with a whole different level. The playing field's very even, right? And I have an opportunity to now discuss with that person why I believe I can help them. I should have done my homework up front to understand something about their business. We're asking them what maybe their two main pain points are and understand how to provide solutions for that, not assume and jam it down their throats. Nobody likes that. That is
Right.
not a way to go about things. Preparation, understanding, transparency, being honest and direct, and introducing yourself up front so the person knows exactly who they're talking to, what they're about. I mean, you have to do those things in today's world more than ever because people are just getting bombarded at light speed from all different directions.
Hmm.
And it's frustrating for all of us. We own businesses, we operate them, and people do that to us.
Hmm.
I think you would agree. I'm not sure, but you'll tell me. I like the five people a day who have the guts to just tell me what they're calling for, whether I like it or not. Just instead of people who are like going to spend 90 seconds to go nowhere and hope I'm still on the phone, right? Type.
Yes. Hallelujah. Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, so right now I'm in the foundational stages of pulling an exit team together for my exit strategies mastermind that we launched earlier in February. And it's one of those things of like, you know what? If you don't want to be a part of the team, just tell me. Tell me no. Please don't ghost me. I would love a no or a yes, but don't leave me hanging. The Some people think it's much more respectful to not tell me no, but I disagree with that. It takes a lot of courage to come to me and say, you know what, Misty, I love what you're doing, but this isn't the right fit for my life right now or my business right now. I love that. I respect it. Please tell me no. Please.
I think it's hard for people because they don't want to disappoint somebody. They don't want to feel like they let them down. But the reality is the person will respect you more with a quick, honest no
Hmm.
than to your point. Well, we'll talk about it next week. Next week never comes. It just gets to be a source of frustration between us.
Hmm.
And if we had a personal relationship beforehand, it's putting stress on that.
Hmm.
If you told me no right away, you said, look, this is not for me right now. I can't really argue with you. I'm not going to try to
Hmm.
talk you into it. That never works out well. So
Correct.
I'll respect that. I'll be frustrated for, a week. But after that, I'll respect that you had the guts to just tell me and we'll move forward. And next time when something feels like a better fit, maybe you can participate.
Hmm.
Because
The
we
gen
left it on the right terms.
yeah, the gentleman today, he was like, Misty, I did not want to tell you in an email that I can't be a part of the group because of family commitments. I wanted to tell you face to face. I'm like, number one, I respect it. Number two, am I disappointed? Yes, I'm disappointed because you're an exceptional human being, because relationships come first, transactions come second in my business. And that's the team that I'm assembling for exit strategies. It's they function that way too in their business. So I told them very directly, I am disappointed that you are dropping out because of who you are as a person. But I respect your no, and I respect you telling me face to face. It was beautiful.
Yeah, look, that person took the extra step to do that in person because they
Mm,
respected you. They respected your level of intelligence. They respected your commitment. They respected your competence. And they wanted to show you that respect. To me, you're right. That is a person that's definitely above the norm.
hmm
People we like to associate with, we can learn from and grow with. And
hmm
they're the types of people we want to be around. So, yes, it is disappointing. But again, leaving it in that manner leaves the door open for the future to do and collaborate together. Going the other way just leaves it really cold and hollow. I don't know if the word destructive is the right word, but it's definitely not constructive, that's for sure. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, do we really want to be around that at this stage of our lives? Probably not.
No,
I don't think so. I mean,
no.
everyone has a time clock, and to waste someone else's is really disrespectful. So
hmm
to me, with our guys here, I tell them all the time, look, call with intent, tell the people what it is. If it doesn't work, that's okay. Don't be
hmm
disrespectful. Write it down, revisit in a month. It's a cycle for what we do. So people are using money all the time. And sometimes, today's not the right day, and that's okay.
hmm
Understanding what they want to do and accomplish is really important in building relationships. One of the things that I hate, it's changed so dramatically, LinkedIn, which just about all of us use of some sort, some way.
hmm Yeah.
It's become like this big introductory hello sales market. And it's really, really frustrating that someone wants to connect, say hi, and
hmm
before they even have any idea what you're doing, they're selling you their service down your throat.
hmm
Like, why would anyone buy from you?
Right.
Why don't you spend some time explaining that? Give me something, some reason to feel an attachment. But just throwing it out there in the cold outreach, I think LinkedIn should eliminate that personally. It used to be a really good platform, and I feel like it's changed so dramatically that, it's not nearly used as widely by really serious people anymore, it feels like.
hmm It's true. I've gotten this far by putting people first and transactions second, and I will continue to be this way for the rest of my existence as a business owner. And it's one of the things that I swear by is to give first. And if I reach out to somebody cold on LinkedIn, it's to offer them a potential slot on my podcast for being interviewed. So I'm giving them something of tremendous value. I'm not asking them for anything. I'm not selling them anything.
Right.
And that's the only way that I will do a cold reach out to somebody on LinkedIn. I'm like, if I'm giving them something that's of tremendous value and I'm not asking money from them, I think it's acceptable and reasonable. But all these other people, like you're talking about, I just ignore them. Like, I don't give them the time of day at all. I'm like, oh, you think I need your services? Great. I am a person. Did you remember that? No.
Like they didn't care at all.
Exactly.
It's very frustrating. And then they put you into the drip campaign, and the AI chat agents continually hit you.
hmm
And it's just, I know that's the way the world works today, but for the most successful people, I don't believe they're doing it that way. They're building relationships, and to your point, they're
hmm
leading with value of what they can do for you, how they can help you achieve what you want. Because look, the world is really about what's in it for me. And if
hmm
I'm not understanding that, thinking about that, seeing what I can do for you to help you achieve your goals and ambitions, there's not going to be much in it for me. That's just the reality. I understand,
Hmm.
maybe that sounds cold to some people, but it's just the truth. That's how most people react today. And
It
especially
is.
in business, I mean, there's a limited time in the day. You want to go home and spend time with your family. You have an errand to run. You have this. So we have to make those hours very impactful and meaningful. And to just go about it haphazardly and hope it works out, it's a horrible strategy. It's never going to get you where you want to go.
Mm, very true. So if you guys want to be truly successful and have sustainable success, growable success, you need to be able to set expectations and ask appropriate questions so that you have the space to listen to somebody's response.
Yeah, I think that's really true. You know, not being afraid, being honest. Yeah, you're a little vulnerable, but that's okay. That's
Hmm.
life. That's part of human interaction.
Hmm.
And as you get through that and understand that, you'll be surprised. Your success ratios will go up. You'll feel better personally. The, the impact you'll have will grow. The relationships will be better and stronger, faster. And it's all leading from, working with how you can help and bring value to others. Zig Ziglar was right about that. It just took me a long time to grow up enough to understand it as a person. I wish I would have figured that out 25, 30 years ago, but I'm glad I figured it out because my life changed dramatically as I implemented from that strategy. Um,
And can you explain the strategy to the listeners, please?
sure. Look, for most, they've heard the name Zig Ziglar, a very famous speaker and
Hmm.
business coach. And the truth is, his biggest and main premise was if you can understand and help provide others what they really want and need, and do that without any expectation back, over time, it will come back to you in more than spades, right? More than you've hoped for. And I can say for myself, that triggered around 2012 to 2014, that time frame,
Hmm.
coming out of that really nasty economic cycle of 8 through 10. I'd really been knocked out for the knockout punch and was sort of laying on the couch and trying to figure out life. And I'm not sure what exactly triggered it, that moment of clarity, but thank God it happened. And I started to operate from that aspect. And I now spent all my time telling people what I did. And I didn't ask for business ever. I asked what they were looking for, how their business was going, what were the things that they needed help with inside of their business world. And then it started to connect and happen for me. And, truthfully, over the next 2 years, my business exploded to the upside and my marketing budget was the same, zero. I spent
Mm.
no dollars on that. I didn't post it all over the internet or anything. I just went and met with people and just talked with them
Hmm.
and listened. And I'd
Yeah.
write my notes on the drive back from the meeting and I would follow up on them. And actually, if they said, well, I'm looking for this, this, and this, would you know anybody you could connect me with? Well, lo and behold, 5 days later, I'd have that connect for them in their inbox.
Hmm.
And little simple things like that started to add up and matter. And before I knew it, they were asking me to help them with monetary things, loans for different types of parts of their business. And, of course, I wanted to do that because I was making money from that, but it came from a different direction. It came from leading with value, what's in it for them, and building trusting relationships, not
Hmm.
generated just off of dollars. And when I began to really understand that and operate that way, everything changed for me.
I love that. So it reminds me of the book Go Giver.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah, you should read it. It's a great
Okay.
story. So it's all these truths wrapped up in a fictional story.
Okay.
And I love it because it's easy to read. And then it's easier to understand these principles because it is a fictional story.
Mhm.
So it's a super great book. And anybody that I know who has read The Go-Giver loves it. Um, and it challenges the scarcity thinking. It challenges the fear. It challenges the greed, it challenges the self-centeredness, it challenges all of that. But that's where everything truly opens up. So for me, when I do sit down and have these one-on-one coffee meetings with business owners, I don't know them. We're getting to know each other. I lead with vulnerability and it's appropriate, right? So communication is an art, and I've been fine-tuning that art my entire life. So I know the balance of let's talk about business a little bit, and then let's talk a little bit about our personal lives and figure out who we are. But I always lead with vulnerability because it opens up the space for them to be real, be authentic, be vulnerable with me. So I lead with vulnerability where most people are extremely uncomfortable with vulnerability. And there are times where I'm uncomfortable with it too. Like right now, working to set my exit team for the exit strategies mastermind, there's a lot of like, oh, these people are committed. Oops, now they're not. Oops, now I need to talk to other professionals in their industry that I've never met before. So, or me just reaching out to people that I communicated with a year ago. I'm not going to make the decision for them, but I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to send them an email and say, hey, this position just came available. Is this something that you're interested? Do you want to discuss it? If not, that's fine. It's a space of vulnerability, and that's where I live. Most of the time, I'm comfortable with it these days, but it took me decades to get there. And you'd be surprised at what that does. It opens up so much opportunity. And that's not why I do it, but it's just a byproduct of it. Remember, people first, transactions second. So that's the way I live. And because I live that way, people always have a good taste in their mouth when they walk away from a situation with me. Even today, the guy that told me to my face that he couldn't be a part of the mastermind, I was like, I respect you for it. But we still had a beautiful conversation. Wonderful, amazing. I'm sending him a connection that he needs for his passion project, which is where his life is headed. So he's opening up his world to help men on their personal growth journey. He's been there, done that. He was the cruel, typical dude. And then he found self-love, right? He found self-love. He found divine connection. And he wants to hold that space for other guys as they're working on developing themselves. And I'm like, this is great. This is beautiful. The world needs that. And I work with my business owners on personal development, but it's related to the business. So that's as far as it goes. Like, I'm not going into the deep, muddy waters with my people. That's where I can send them to him. And I was like, this is the perfect relationship because I work with a lot of men, and it's maybe not appropriate for me to talk with those things with the guys because I'm there as a business advisor, and
Right.
we're there to develop as human beings, that it's business related, but you can handle the deeper stuff. So you will be getting people from me. And that's how we ended the conversation was I'm going to send you people for your passion project because that's where you're headed anyway. Like your existing business world is probably going to fall off in a few years anyway. Um, it was great. Like I could have been transactional with him, or I could have got my feelings hurt when he told me that he wasn't going to be a part of the mastermind. But instead, I wanted to make sure, and this is the integrity that I live by within myself, is I want to make sure that people know that I care about them first, not their money, but them first. And that's how I was able to conduct myself with this gentleman through the rest of our conversation.
I
And
think
I,
as you do that,
yeah, go ahead.
that really resonates with people. It leaves a really positive impression and impact, and it leaves them in a position of wanting to be able to reach out to you in a positive way to help you where that opportunity exists for them to do so, versus someone who would have a sort of reflexive reaction to just be upset and frustrated.
Hmm.
I know that's part of human nature. I get it. But as we all evolve and grow, as you really grow as a person and you begin to understand that and you can deal with it at a better, more sophisticated level, it can still work out to be very positive for you because you give it a chance to versus cutting everything off and destroying and destructive, which is unfortunately too common out there, way
It
too.
is. And I call that burning bridges. It is common to burn bridges. If you don't
Yeah.
get your way, you're going to go burn a bridge. You're going to drop a nuke on the bridge and blow it up. Like, that's not, you have to keep reinventing the wheel if that's the approach you take. It's
Well,
not
that's
effective.
I totally agree, and I love that analogy of reinvented the wheel. But for us, it's like I want to find 400 people that every year, like every 3 or 4 months, I'm working with.
Hmm.
I don't want to have to go to sleep December 31st each year and have to wake up and find thousands of new people. It's just
Right.
too hard. So to be transactional versus being relationship driven, I would take relationship driven every single day of the year. And, it took me a long time. That's true. To teach myself that,
Hmm.
to really believe it, not just say it, and to act in that manner, it took me a while. That's the truth. But as I did, again, my life changed dramatically. Things got easier, not harder. And I'll always be appreciative of that. One friend in particular used to really, really ride me on that. And,
Hmm.
for Anthony, to his credit, it really finally sunk in years back, and he helped really change the trajectory of things for me in that regard in particular.
Hmm. Well, I'm glad that you saw the light and you crossed over to the relationship side of business because transactional people have to keep reinventing the wheel all the time, and it is so exhausting.
Yeah, it's the exact word I was going to say. Exact word, perfect. You couldn't have said it any better.
I mean, business is challenging enough. Like, we don't need to add more challenges to it.
Oh, 100% agree.
Mm-mm.
Doing that to yourself, just making everything more difficult when
Hmm.
you could have taken a breath and made it easier, not perfect, but easier. It's a
Hmm.
bad decision to go for that. Bad.
Yes.
Might feel good to make a dollar or two today, but that's going to cost you a lot in the long run, and that's really short-sighted. And,
Hmm.
again, if you're listening and one of your goals is to build a team, and that team should help you platform and grow and expand so that one day you can exit successfully, you need to be plugging in hard on the relationship side of your business from day one and never, never lose sight of that. That's going to be
Mm.
crucial to your long-term success at all levels, from day-to-day sales, in-house HR, how people interact, the environment you create such to attract other talent to your organization, the vendors, the people that you want to do business with, the people you're selling to, all down the line. It's a huge thing, and people can feel it quickly. They react to it either really well because they enjoy it, or they react to it really quickly in a different manner because they don't want to be part of it. The choice is yours.
Hmm. I love the wisdom that is coming out in this conversation. And some of it is hard-fought wisdom and
Yeah.
battered and bruised wisdom on both of our sides, right? So the other thing that I want to challenge everyone to listen to, not just other people, but listen to wisdom instead of your short-term emotions, because wisdom is going to look at the big picture. Wisdom is going to say, you know what, I should shut my mouth here. I should not react emotionally because long term, this is a better outcome. But if you're emotionally charged, you're most likely in the transactional space, not the relational space. It's par for the course. So the transactional people that I see are very highly emotionally charged,
Mhm.
and they let their fear drive them. They let their insecurities drive them. They let not enough drive them. Like, no matter how much money they have, it's not enough. Like, this is all emotionally charged. It's not wisdom based. So please listen to other people, but also listen to wisdom. It gives you the big picture.
And I think they got to pay attention to who they're listening to as well.
Mm.
Too many of us, so I can say for myself, I grew up in a certain environment. Those people I thought were always trying to help me. They really
Hmm.
couldn't help me, and in some senses, they're holding you back. And breaking out of that circle and growing into a new circle that can support and help and educate and bring knowledge to the table and help you. I mean, the most successful people out there, they lay the blueprint out for you. They're not hiding it. They don't view that person as a competitor.
Hmm.
They view it as another person they want to see succeed.
Hmm.
And now the choice again is yours. And I feel like not enough people approach things that way. And unfortunately, in not making those choices, continue, in the pool of scarcity where the resources are tight and people kill each other for them.
Mm,
And that is a difficult, hard way to live every day versus building a life you love, not one you want to survive, right? So, we speak about this regularly with all different types of people from 20-year-olds in college to high school students and all the way up to 60-year-old people like myself who need to reinvent themselves at times. They've been downsizing a company and they're really stressed and don't know what to do and where to turn. You're trying to help create a framework to enable them to think clearly because as you were pointing out, when you operate out of fear and you're highly charged and emotionally, it's very difficult, if not almost impossible, to make a good sound decision, one that could push you back in the right direction.
hmm
When I was trading on Wall Street for a long time, that was one of the things that I learned. I never made more money when I traded emotionally and I would react.
hmm
But when I would stay calm, even if I was losing, and stay calm, be rational, and think through the strategies and optimize the trade, and then execute upon what I felt and believed was the highest and best for success, at a high degree of accuracy, that would come out and play forward. But again, when I was emotionally charged, I just seemed to take bad and make it worse.
mm. You know, you've got me speechless because I deal with business owners all day, every day. And there's a lot of pain in business right now because so many people are emotionally charged these days.
I feel like a lot of the people, and one of the problems out there is just perspective, right? And gaining good perspective and what is real perspective versus, this is a disaster. I can't believe this. How could this happen to me? This is horrific. Common responses and attitudes that we see projected versus calming down for a couple of minutes, having the realization that, look, this is actually not going to kill you. And this
Mm,
is, yes, it's a setback in your business for a day or a week. It's not derailing your business. You can stay wound up like a $2 watch or whatever the right cliche is and make yourself nuts. And yeah, you can derail your business, but that's on you. You just did that to yourself. What
mm,
happened was a really bad 3 hours. Let's try to do our best to contain it to one day. Let's work with whomever in our inside of our company was affected by it. Let's walk through those steps, see how we could recognize it earlier, see how we could react to it better to ensure that it doesn't repeat itself, and what policies and procedures and standards can we change or do we need to, such to be able to handle that properly going forward so that it's not a double take for us again and we can move forward successfully. Look, you're going to empower your team that way and build more trust by showing them that they matter, they care, you believe in them, you're putting that there for them and enabling them to run forward with it. And together, that's how you're both going to get much further. But if you just go off nuts, screaming, yelling in the office, telling somebody what an idiot they are, you deserve the ramifications, which
mm.
is just negative blowback, loss of sales, horrible, horrible, camaraderie inside in your
The
team.
culture, yeah, your culture sucks. Yeah.
You just can't be successful that way. Not long term. Not on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. I mean, you might have a great 2, 3 days now and then, but there's gonna be a lot of pain in between. I don't know about you, but I don't really like to be in that kind of environment. I don't want to be.
No, I refuse to be in that environment. And
I agree.
those people are out there and it's sad for them because in my world, fulfillment is first. If I'm not doing it fulfilled, why am I doing it? So, um, for people that are like that, I interacted with a guy recently that's like that. And I'm like, you know what? You built a nice little business for yourself, but you can't go much further being this way because you're not going to be able to maintain staff. You're not going to be able to maintain the business relationships that you need to maintain. Like he just got there off of sheer control of everything around him. And okay, he's a control freak, so he only puts people pleasers around himself. And people like me that come in that function from a place of what is the absolute truth here in the business and wisdom, people that function like I do, he sees them as a threat because it threatens his way of
Absolutely.
being. But it's actually what he needs. He needs to see that his way is not going to be fulfilling, and it's also not going to take him as far as he could possibly go.
I think that's absolutely true. And when people inside your organization know that they've done something wrong or not to the best of their ability, that might be a better way to put it. They didn't really do it to the best of their ability.
Hmm.
All right. They want to be called out on it. I don't mean called out like screaming across the office in front of everybody. They
Hmm.
want to have a meaningful conversation on it. Avoiding that hard conversation isn't doing anybody a favor.
Yeah.
And other people around see that you, whether you admit it or not to yourself, were willing to accept that from somebody. Well, why wouldn't they accept that from me then? And is that okay for me to do that? You want to set the expectation and tone together. We're all, not you by yourself and not me by myself, but together we're going to operate at a high level. We're going to provide the tools to do that, but we're going to create the culture that expects that of each other and supports each other in that manner. And if we do
Hmm.
that well, we can outperform many other people who might be slightly more talented, but aren't in that kind of environment that supports and nurtures that from each other. And together, almost all the time, not all the time, sometimes not, but rarely, together, that kind of teamwork, that kind of camaraderie, that kind of support will lift you to higher levels of success than the other by far,
Hmm.
you know?
Definitely. And if you ever plan on exiting your business, it makes it a much more desirable business to purchase. If a VC
Absolutely.
is looking at the business, they're looking at the culture, they're looking at everything, they're looking at every single part of the business. So I don't know about you, but if I'm looking at buying a business, I don't want to buy a business with a terrible culture.
Culture matters. A friend of mine in Philadelphia, that's one of his big things. Cultures matters. Absolutely.
Hmm.
100%. People who are writing checks pay attention to it. They might
Hmm.
not comment it out loud, and you can't figure out why at the dinner later, why they're not pulling the checkbook out right away like you were hoping or anticipating, but they saw something that they didn't like, they were uncomfortable with, and maybe they just don't execute on that transaction because of it, right? It
Hmm.
doesn't fit with their overall. They don't want to
Yeah.
bring that into their umbrella and have it poison other parts of their umbrella operation. So if you're not paying attention to that as a business owner, and I know the days are busy, and I know it's not easy every day, and I know it's frustrating, and I know it feels like you're doing too much work, and I know it feels like you always have to do everything, but that's not the case. It's not true. That's in your head. And if you're not paying attention and empowering the people around you, I don't want to say it in a nasty way, but you get what you deserve. And what you want will most likely be different than what you get.
Yeah, definitely. So the takeaways from today, listen. Listen to what people are saying, ask questions so there's a space to listen. Listen to wisdom and be careful of who is whispering in your ear. Who are you listening to that's either elevating you or tearing you down? Be very careful. And maybe it's yourself. So if you're talking shit to yourself, you should probably stop.
Yeah, no, it's the big problem a lot of people have. I ask people all the time when I
Hmm.
speak, have you ever gotten up in the morning and just thought today everything's going to go right? People usually laugh, but it's unfortunate. It's not shocking anymore. In the beginning, I was surprised, but how few people actually wake up with that kind of attitude? You know, they're
Yeah.
always worried about what's going to go wrong. What's the first thing that's going to go wrong? That's going to cause this problem, which will then relate to that instead of the other way. And it's amazing just that positive thought and pattern, how much better it can make things. It won't make everything perfect. I'm not trying to tell people that.
Mm-mm. It
But
doesn't. I am one of those rare people that wakes up in the morning and I start my day with gratitude and I start my day with statements like, Thank you for blessings today. Thank you for favor today. Whatever it is that feels right for the day. And no, it doesn't create a perfect life. I have challenges and struggles just like everybody else, but it keeps my mind in the right direction and it keeps me calm so that I'm able to listen to wisdom, that I'm able to make really good decisions no matter what shitstorm comes my way.
Yeah. Well, it definitely enables, it opens you up to making good decisions, and that's crucial to your
Yeah,
long
that's
success.
that's everything for business. If you're not a good decision maker, you're going to struggle hardcore.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow. So I think we just put on a little master class for the audience, which is great and wonderful. I have enjoyed it, but we do need to close because our attention spans are very short these days. So, any final words before we jump off?
For me, it's about perspective. And I've been through a lot of those types of storms in my life. I feel fortunate to be here. And if you can find the right people to be on your team and be around you, your life will change dramatically to the more positive. In the next 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, you won't even be able to, you'll look back, you can't even believe where you are. So be conscious of that, as you mentioned, really pay attention to that, evaluate it all the time and regularly. And if you do that well, you really can get to places you only hoped, and now they become reality.
Mm, mm. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing your deep wisdom of success in business. And I appreciate your time. I appreciate your journey and what it took for you to get to this place of wisdom and understanding and success as well. So, thank you,
Thank you for having me on today. Appreciate it.
of course. All right, you guys, if you weren't moved by this episode, there's something wrong with you. That's not my problem. So, go see a therapist, please. I'm just saying, like, there's so much nonsense in business that doesn't need to be there. There's so much struggle and pain that people are causing themselves, and it doesn't need to be there. So please, please, please re listen to this episode over and over and over until it sinks in. Please give yourself space to have fulfillment and to have some peace and to have confidence in where you're headed. Until next time, we will see you guys soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Wealthy Mind podcast. Please be sure to download the Wealthy Mind app today and make sure to support your local Dress for Success.